Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you might be. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Doug Collins, formerly the Denver UXer, now the Southern California UXer. I don't know. I, I guess that's where I am now. I have moved. As you can see, the office behind me is brand spanking new. Back from the old orange wall I used to have behind me with my comics. Now I've got my nice Ted Lasso Believe poster up behind me, ready to rock and roll, ready to be out there showing the world my belief in believe, right? As I, excuse me, I'm so excited. I'm literally spitting here. As I, continue down my path of trying to find my next UX gig. So after a long day today spent working on my portfolio, designing some hockey jerseys, as that's kind of my side gig to get a little bit of cash in during this time, and deciding that I was done with with designing for today and to chat with you. I decided it was time to tune in to what you all say because it's been a long time. We haven't done this in a hot minute. Whether it's been across Twitter, whether it's been on YouTube, whether it's been on LinkedIn, wherever it is that you're watching me today, I really appreciate you tuning in and really want to spend some time talking with you, answering your questions, trying to help you with any problems that you might have. So please feel free to go ahead, throw them into the chat, and let's see what we can come up with here. I am using Restreamio as my broadcaster today. Not a plug for them, it's just who I'm using. I'm still getting used to their chat functionality, so I'm kind of monitoring things on a few different pages here. I'm looking at my LinkedIn page and the broadcast that's going on there. I'm looking at Twitter as well to see any comments that might come up there as well too. So please feel free to throw them in the chat. If you don't have anything to say, just want to say hello. I'd love to see who you are, where you're coming from today, where you're listening from. So let me know because I miss you guys. It's been way too long that I've done this. So I'll give you the update for me and how things have been going for me and my job search and where I am in life. And I would love to hear updates from you all, especially if it's someone that I've talked to before, I haven't talked to in a bit. Would love to hear from you and how things are going with you. So, obviously, like I said, I moved. Here I am, beautiful, sunny Southern California, away from Denver, Colorado. Moved out here to be a little bit closer to family. Specifically, my wife's family is from the San Diego area, but also just change of pace. It's also all Denver's been great. Don't get me wrong. I love Denver. Born and raised in the Mile High City. Love it there. Will always love it there. But you know, sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone, change things up a little bit, and hopefully that'll pay some dividends for me, not only in just life in general, but also in my career search. I've kind of gone through a lot of different places in Denver, career search wise, and just I wasn't having much luck, and I'm still not having much luck. It has been a slog, and I know that I'm not the only one that's going through this. I know that there are thousands of UX professionals that are going through this same process of trying to find a new UX gig. And some of you have been out of jobs for a couple of days, a couple of weeks. Some of you, like me, have been out of job for a few months, and I'm going on a year. It'll be a year next month for me since I last worked a UX role. Not for a want of trying, and a lot of interviews. It is very interesting when we talk about the UX design process and the UX interviewing process and how that just goes so slowly and it makes it really difficult to find a job, not just from the perspective of the amount of opportunities that are out there, because we all know as companies laid off people over the last year and then they're slowly starting to bring them back on, we're seeing some of those um, job roles and markets sort of improving, more people coming on, more people getting a chance to come on and listen. I'm sorry, come on and listen. Excuse me. I'm looking at my viewer count there. Come on and get on their new role. Um, but it's also just it's such a long process, and if you get a hiccup within that process, it can set you back not just days but weeks and sometimes months. So, for instance, I have a company that I've been interviewing with for the last couple of months now, where things have gone really stellar for every interview I've had. The initial phone screening was great. Had an interview with the hiring manager, who I was very excited about the opportunity with, and we just, we clicked right. And it's wonderful interview. If you've ever been a part of one of those interviews where you can just tell that you have a rapport with the person that you're talking with, that you're thinking on the same page, that you're speaking their language. It was one of those. Everything was just very sweet and in the zone. And now that's been a couple of months that that's been going on. But for the last 5 weeks, sending follow up emails, haven't haven't been able to get a word back, and not even a word from HR that says, yes, we're taking our time, or a word from the hiring manager saying, we've got a lot of candidates to work through. That's fine. We all get that. We understand that's part of the job searching process these days, that they're going to have multiple different people to talk to at different stages in the interview. You're definitely not going to be the only one. And even if you hit things off well, it may still take some time. But in this case, haven't gotten any response back. Same thing happened with another a company where I've gone through 4 interviews with them, um, and thought everything was going great. Thought I was getting close to an offer there. Now, for the last 4 weeks, nothing. So as I thought I was getting close to a couple of job offers and kind of started to tail down a little bit of my usual application process, all of a sudden I'm back to square one. I was still getting a few applications out, but not quite as many because I was fairly certain one of those two was going to work out. And I guess that just goes to show that sometimes we all have to eat our own words. That's okay. It's certainly not out of the realm of possibility for me. So once again, I see a few people in here. I see looks like 24 people watching on Twitter and an undisclosed amount watching on LinkedIn and YouTube. So if you're there, please drop a line, say hello, say who you are, where you're coming from, what you do for work. I'd love to say hello to you. Give you a little shout out as well on the channel and the crew here. So um, yeah, it has been a process, and I'm not gonna lie, it has been a hard process, not just from a it's difficult to get up and go to your computer every day and churn out as many quality applications as you possibly can, from that just that physical perspective of get up, go to your desk, get stuff done. While I've been in the process of moving across the country with my wife and 2 wonderful children, but it's also been a process in terms of it's also been a difficulty in terms of just having the mental fortitude to do that every day, right? It is a slog, and for anyone else that's out there going through that, I want you to hear these words that you are not alone, and there are like I said, literally hundreds, thousands of us that are all going through the same thing right now. I want you to know that. I want you to understand that. I want you to know and understand that there are people out there that are rooting for you, even people that you've never met. If we've never talked before and you're going through this and you're going through this process of I'm getting up every day, I'm looking at the job boards, I'm trying to find the best job posting that I'm going to fit based off my skills, and I'm changing my resume. I'm working on my portfolio. I'm writing those custom cover letters. I'm trying to figure out how I can do things like link in AI into my application process. You're going, you're going, and you don't feel like you're making any progress. And this is true whether or not we're talking about job applications or we're just talking about life. Remember, this is the thing that has kept me going and it will keep you going. The action of making progress is progress. It the push, right? It does not matter whether or not you move towards that goal. If you swing and you miss, that's progress. If you run at your goal towards everything you have and you still miss, that's progress. You're still moving towards your goal. If you keep working hard, if you keep putting in the hours, if you keep putting a effort, you must move forward. There is no other way that life can move for you other than forward if you keep putting in the work and keep putting in the faith. And I know it's hard sometimes. Believe me, it's been hard for me too. Um, it's been really hard, to the point where I've questioned myself whether or not I have the skills and the mentality to stay within the business and the career space that I love. And whether it's you looking at something that you love, again, whether it's this career or whether it's any other goal that you have in life and saying, am I good enough? Should I keep doing this? I'm not, I don't feel like I'm making progress. Just remember that sometimes just getting to the point of trying to make that progress, that's progress in itself. Staying in the fight, keeping yourself going. So let's all support each other out there. Let's keep some things moving. Let's keep us all moving in the right direction. Even when we don't feel like we can keep going, even when we don't feel like we have the strength that day. Keep going. If you know somebody out there that is looking for a job that has maybe been struggling for a while to find one, reach out to them, say hello, ask how they're doing, ask if there's anything that you can do to help, and do it from a place of love and compassion in your heart. So definitely something to keep in mind there. I'm pulling for you. If you're going through this, even like I said, even if we've never met, I'm pulling for you. There are people out there that are pulling for you that think about you every day. I think about all of my friends in the UX world that are looking for jobs every day. I see the posts every morning when I log into LinkedIn and it says, I'm looking for a job. I just got fired. I just got laid off. My company just closed. My entire division got shut down. I was this close to getting a job and then the job offer got rescinded. I see those posts every single day. It's absolutely heartbreaking, but know that I'm there for you. And if there is anything that I can do for you, I mean this genuinely from the bottom of my heart. If there's anything that I can do to help you in your search to keep you going, whether or not it's a pep talk, whether or not it's a nudge in the right direction, whether it's not you just need somebody to bounce ideas off of, or look at your portfolio, or look at your case study, reach out to me. Let me know. I want to help as much as I can. I'm here for you. That is what's driven me through the UX design world for my entire career has been a focus on helping other people uh, build their own careers, build their own talents, and keep moving along their path. I want to keep doing that. So please reach out if there's anything at all that I can do for you. So yeah, um, definitely an interesting spot for everybody to be in. I hope that little pep talk has helped some people out there move in the right direction, feel like they're moving in the right direction, and keep the faith. Because I certainly, I mean, as much as that's for you all out there, it's good for me to vocalize this for myself, right, and remind myself that there is more to being successful in a job search than actual the number of applications and interviews that I get on a daily or weekly basis. I'll share some of my stories too, some of the things that have happened to me over the last 11 months as I've been trying to um, find that nice new gig. I'm not going to name any particular companies in this because I don't feel like that's particularly fair. A lot of these companies, look, you never know what anybody's going through, whether it's somebody in HR, whether it's a hiring manager, whatever corporate culture might be going on. So I'll be as vague as I can, and I'm not going to confirm any companies or anything like that. But I'll give you an idea of some of the things that have happened and how my job search has gone throughout the course of time. So very shortly, within about a month after I left Everdriven, I applied at a major apparel company that was looking for a UX director to help expand some internal tools that they were working for online. And I had some good connections there. I knew some folks that were in upper management. I actually had informal online conversations with the VP of design for this company, so I had an in, which was good, and was able to kind of leverage that. And I worked through, actually got through 3 or 4 different interviews for that, and was right at the stage of getting an offer. They to the point they told me, "Yep, we're putting together an offer letter for you. We expect to have something for you, in the next couple of days." And then all of a sudden, and I realize it's getting dark in here, and now my lighting's getting really moody. That's great. And then all of a sudden, I got an email from HR saying, um, we're not going to be hiring for this role at this time. And the next day, I found out that they had laid off a couple of thousand people the next day. So very interesting to see how that all worked out and how that came together. So that was heartbreaking to a certain extent, but certainly something that a lot of people out there have dealt with. I have another friend that works in the aerospace industry for a company that I've wanted to work for a long time and have always had an interest in, but have just never been able to find a role that was right for me within this organization. Although I've always kept my eye on it. Sent me a message saying, "Hey, we are looking to hire some contractors. We'd love to hire you. Send me your resume. How would you like to work for us?" Splendid, right? You had me at work, let alone work for this company that I've always wanted to work for. only to get a message back a few days later. Oh, well, there was some internal politics going on with the candidate that had also been submitted for this role, and they decided to go the other direction. It happens, right? It's part of life. It's just part of being alive in this job search and job hunt. I've also had some interviews with some of the big names. I guess for these, it's not. I won't go. I won't go and name which big names, but some of the big, you know, top names in the industry for different roles and evaluations. One I got through an entire 6 interview process only to stumble at the last moment in remote online design exercise. Another one I got through to the final round and wasn't selected. Another one has me in process, but has had me in process for the last number of months and doesn't seem to be moving forward with it. So it's frustrating, right? It's difficult. And like I said, at the beginning of this, it's hard to look at these things and say, I'm not making any progress. Why do I keep doing this? But when I think about why I keep doing this, obviously having a career that's fulfilling and something that I love to do is a big part of it. But you all are a big part of it too. The people out there in the Twitter sphere, the people on LinkedIn, the folks on YouTube that get something from interacting with me that I can help and grow and help move along your path. So that's why I'm here talking today, right? Still haven't seen any chats coming through. I have honestly no idea if that's an artifact of the chat system that I'm using. I'm not seeing anything come through on Twitter or LinkedIn or YouTube. But once again, if you are listening to me on any of those, definitely drop a line, say hello. If you have a question, ask a question. You have a comment, send me a comment. I think the comment I'm going to give to myself here is to turn on my lighting. See if I can actually get a little bit of there we go. Look at that. Part of the new office is getting the correct setup ready to rock and roll for y'all. So really hope everybody's doing okay out there though. Especially as we come up to what's been a very big and stressful day for us tomorrow. And if you're from, I speak specifically for my design friends in the United States. Obviously, we have big election day coming up tomorrow. Um, I don't want to be too political while I'm searching for a job. That's really difficult. But if you follow me, it shouldn't be any surprise where my leanings are on this particular issue of who we are going to have to lead our country for the next 4 years. My my only comment would be just keep in mind that whatever side of the political aisle that you're on, um, remember that we're all in this together, and that whatever happens on Tuesday, uh, whether it's the way that you hope things to go or the way that you don't, um, we all have to live together at some level. We all have to find ways to cooperate to make our country and the world a better place. And I think that should be the ultimate goal. And really, what should be leading your mind and your thought process as you go through and you're stepping into those ballot booths, you're filling out your ballot to drop it off at drop boxes. What's going to make the world a better place? Being a designer is all about empathy. It's all about um, understanding the people in the world around you and focusing on how we can solve problems, how we can make the world a better place. And I'd encourage you to look for candidates and look for ballot measures and look for opportunities to have your vote make the community and the world a better place. Whether that's voting for people that have a strong message and promise for you to do that, or looking at options that might make the world a better place in the world around you. I think that's important as well too, from ballot measures as well. So keep in mind that empathy. Keep in mind the people around you, and let's all just be excellent human beings to each other today, tomorrow, as the world goes on, regardless of what happens at the ballot box. Again, like I said, if you follow me, you probably know where my personal direction, my personal orientation is, just based off of what I have a tendency to like and retweet. But your mileage may vary, right? Whether it's me or somebody else out there, believe in that are all different things. So yeah, we are, coming along, moving along, and heading down that road. Still haven't seen any comments or anything else coming through here. I do see. Okay, so I've got some comments not within the chat, but I've got some comments actually down here. Okay, so actually, I do see a few coming through on LinkedIn now. Um, I see. David. So David looks like he's posting some stuff. Might be a system issue. James, hope you're doing well too. Thanks for dropping by. I appreciate you. Thanks for saying hi. And David, I hope you're doing well too. Hope everything's going great on your end. Um, it certainly is a spot to be in, but it's great to see you folks dropping by saying hi. So yeah, also if you're looking for a job, looking for a role, if there's anything I can do to help spread the word on your role application, definitely let me know. Yeah, so let's see here. I guess last thing for today. Um, yeah, I've had some fun designing hockey jerseys, right? We're gonna make this completely fun. Ended on ended on a fun note here. Yeah, hockey jersey design. It's been a lot of fun. It's been something that is a good way for me to stretch some design muscles I don't normally stretch and do something that is a little bit different from what I normally do. Obviously, being focused on UX design and UX leadership, I don't do as much with UI design, and I've never done a whole lot with logo design. Although I'm, starting to get more into it. Um, it's been fun. So I've posted to Reddit the last I don't know, within the last few months, just asking for different beer league hockey teams that are looking for different logo designs. I play hockey myself, not well, but I have a lot of fun with it. And I wanted to do some designs for some beer league teams because it was something to do. Everybody needs a good designer when you're in beer league. It's definitely something that makes a big difference. Let's see here. Oh, also I see Faisal definitely just pop. I don't know. I think these are behind for some level. But Faisal, thank you for dropping by. Good to see you here. Sorry, I've got messages coming through as well too. Let me make sure I turn that off. Oh, it's Turboboat with an election reminder. Yeah. If stakeholders want one thing, but you know that users want another thing, how would you meet in the middle with both design teams and business teams? Oh, that's a great question. David, I'm going to talk about jerseys here for a moment, and I'm going to come back and answer your question in just a moment. I started it on the jersey thing. Now I've got it up, and I'm going to share it a little bit. So let's go and share here. Come on. We can do this. Maybe it's not. All right. We'll skip over that. All right. Maybe I'm not going to have a screen share at the moment because I'm not sure my hardware is going to cooperate with me. So David's got a question. Faisal's also got a question. With AI changing digital experiences, how can UX keep a human touch? Will classic principles still apply, or do they need to evolve for AI? Just want to know your approach. Okay. So let's talk. Actually, David, let's talk about your question here first. If stakeholders want one thing, but you know that users want another thing, how would you meet in the middle with both design teams and business teams? So, you know, the first thing is I kind of want to know in that particular case, David, what your users want that your stakeholders don't. Um, that's certainly a question to ask, right? Because usually those two are fairly well aligned, even if they don't necessarily realize it. Stakeholders are driven. First off, take a step back and understand what matters to each group, right? Stakeholders are driven by ultimately, when it comes down to it, dollars and cents. That's sort of the big thing for them. Anything that is going to add to the bottom line, whether it's something that increases customer retention, reduces time on task, adds to more items to the shopping cart, anything that's going to be sort of affecting that bottom line is really what's going to be driving your stakeholders towards their goal, right? Users want what they want because they think that they have a particular problem and they think that this particular thing will solve this particular problem. Um, what it really comes down to is understanding what your stakeholders' goals are, what your users' goals are, and what the actual true problem is. Oh, and David says that he already knows the answer. Well, why are you asking me questions, David, that you already know the answer to? I have questions coming from students who are meeting this conflict. Okay. Um, understanding understanding your users, understanding your stakeholders, is a big part of this. So understand what your stakeholders want, and depending on the stakeholder, it might be a different thing. Whether it's a product manager, whether it's CTO, CEO, whether it's development team manager. They're all going to have their own little agendas, but they're all sort of driven by that underlying dollars and cents piece and overall efficiency piece. So get to know those pieces, and then understand what your users are asking for, but understand that they are. I see your smiley face there, David. Understand that those are symptoms of underlying issues that are causing them from being effective. And then it really is taking that data from your users and synthesizing it into tools, processes, or procedures that are going to add value for both your users and your company, trying to find that middle ground. And is really only by talking with your users and your stakeholders, having good conversations with them, looking at a data that you have from users that you're going to be able to understand these pieces and find that middle ground. Um, your user experience research to really be focused on finding that middle ground and understanding not just what users are asking for, but getting to their underlying problems and issues, and exploring both the quantitative and qualitative data to say what really is the problem here, and then translating that for your stakeholders to say, hey, we've got users that are having this particular issue. We've done some research and we think if we do X, Y, and Z, it'll help you advance towards your goal of whatever that goal might be. But you need to have good conversations with both sides, and you need to understand what the goals of each are and keep yourself driving towards those. Because as UX and design, we really are the intermediary between what our users' wants, goals, needs, and pain points are, and what our business wants, goals, needs, and pain points are as well too. We're acting sort of the intermediary and translator of those two. So just keep talking, just keep working to understand, and just keep sharing data, sharing information as much as you can, going both directions. I think really helps drive that path. I hope that meets the answer that you already had, David, and at least provides some approach there. But appreciate you asking that question, listening in for that here as well too. Let's see here. Let's see here. And then Fazl's question. I have a question with AI changing digital experiences. How can UX keep a human touch? Will classic principles still apply, or do they need to evolve for AI? Just want to know your approach. Um, there was a drive years ago um, that if everybody remembers when sort of voice user interface was becoming a big thing, this drive of we need to tailor all user experience towards potentially being a vocal user interface. We're seeing that same sort of transformation now when it comes to AI. But I'll say the same thing because I think it applies now with AI as it did with voice UI. We don't the principles, the tenets of user experience design are universal across not just technology, but across human history. If you look back at famous failures of design and famous failures of products and people that were design oriented, you can go back and you can say, these are the principles of UX design that maybe weren't taken into account. These are the principles of things that maybe could have been done a little bit better. That's true now. It was true 100 years ago. It was true 1,000 years ago. It was true 10,000 years ago. Those don't ever change because it's all based off of the underlying psychology of how human and computers interact. What's changing in this case is that I'm sorry, not humans and computers necessarily, but humans and technology interact. What's changing is just that we have a new piece of technology that we interact with in a way that we are not used to interacting with, that has never really been done before, where we can have intelligent, productive conversations with an intellect that uh, is not human, that we trust to provide value and be accurate because of our previous experience with them, where that's not necessarily going to always be the case, especially not over these first decade or so of human AI interactions. The thing that we need to keep in mind is that, like voice UI was an unexplored area of user experience design, um, AI interaction is an unexplored area of user experience design now. And a lot of the tools, a lot of the processes, and a lot of the procedures that we've developed um, can still apply, but they're going to need to be tweaked. And we need to also understand that we have a new user within our user base that we may not have always designed for, and that is artificial intelligence. So, how do we design for interactions of our products with other artificial intelligence integrations that may be interacting with our products as well? I'm seeing a message here not years ago, almost a decade ago. We can rely on AI to give us a somewhat modern interaction intelligence with interactions. Absolutely. UI for AI is much easier, though. We're already used. Okay, so that was David. James says UI for AI is much easier, though. We're already used to conversing. The hard part is figuring out how much of a black box to reveal. Yeah, it's tough. And, we talk about guidelines and guardrails within AI, and where is that line to draw of what's safe, what's ethical, and what is moral and reasonable. How much do we need to show that people are interacting with AI? It's always interesting too when you look at things like people that have been using AI chatbots for things like sending out phishing messages via text messages. Um, and people that have been using that on Twitter to send out election you know, related tweets to try and focus groups one way or another. And people are using known chat prompts to say, okay, stop pretending that you're cosplaying as this person and give me a real response to tell me who set this up and why and how. And everything just sort of being free and willy nilly right now. It's a very interesting spot to be in. Um, Technology in general, and AI is certainly no exception to this, but technology in general has a long-standing issue that are, I think, the same underlying issues that AI has, and that we the whole idea of technology and the internet and connecting the world through these online channels was freedom of information, freedom of thought, freedom of action. AI allows us unprecedented freedom in how we interact and how we can use the power of computers to accomplish things that would have taken hours, weeks, months, and combining those down into very succinct uh, processes. In the same way that the internet has done that, in the same way that computers have done that, AI is sort of the next step within that. But governments have always sort of punted on trying to put too much restrictions on that. And I think particularly in the early world of the internet and the early world of connecting with folks, that was probably a good thing. I think that now that we have more developed technology and we're investigating things like AI and how they work within our tools and processes and procedures across the internet and across apps, devices, and people, I think it's time for a little bit more legal guardrails on those. The problem is that the people that are in place to put those legal guardrails on don't understand AI and they don't understand computers or the internet because they grew up without those, particularly in Western countries where, quite frankly, a lot of the folks that are in charge of putting those pieces together would be old white dudes that just don't understand. As an aging white dude, I know that I'm in a glass house throwing rocks there. Um, but I feel that we need to have the right people in place to do that, and we simply don't right now. Let's see here. David says, as designers, we need to be transparent in what we communicate. Absolutely. And I think UX designers, and I've said this about whether it's been accessibility, whether it's been ethical design, we are the sort of the last line of defense when it comes to what gets put in front of the user. And with AI, it's no exception. We need to make sure that we are advocating for clear, consistent, and ethical uses of artificial intelligence in our products that we create. David also says UI is a form of communication as well as speech, SMS. That will this will blow maybe three of your minds: healthcare and finances. Maybe, yeah, yeah. That always blows my mind how much communication we do out there. All right. Let's see here. And then one last thing from David: as we are trying to be a better source of UX UI, we need to read, play, interact with machine learning so we can be ahead of AI. Unfortunately, we'll never be ahead of it because corps want to utilize it as a way of being level with end users. Yeah, that's true. But it's a good point, David, that when you sign up for a career in UX and design in general, you are signing up for a career of lifelong learning and learning things that you may not always be comfortable learning about, may not always want to learn about, may not be comfortable using. For a lot of folks, I think AI has fallen into that category. I can't remember who said it, but there was a saying somewhere along the line that anything that was invented before you're 35 is new and interesting. And if you're lucky, you can make a career out of it, and anything that was invented after you're 35 is against the natural order of things and must be, burnt at the stake. I think it was Douglas Adams that said something along those lines. It sounds like something he'd say. But we don't get to make that choice in UX design. The tools that become available to us are ones that we're required to learn, and AI is the biggest game-changing tool that's come out. Uh, I think within my lifetime, apart from maybe the internet, and I think this is probably a step beyond that. So we have to continue to learn. We have to learn, how do we write prompts? How do we use GPTs? How do we use large language models? Um, how are they built? How are they put together? And how does that affect the designs that we're trying to create and grow out there? So there's an awful lot to consider. And if we're not learning about that, you're going to be left behind. That has, of course, career implications for you, but it also has implications for your users in terms of you are not going to be well equipped to create designs that work with technology that is out there in the wild today that will be put in front of you to make designs that are ethical, designs that are accessible, and designs that solve human problems, which is ultimately what we're trying to do. All right. That's about all I've got time for. I came on wanting to talk for like 5 minutes, and I've talked with you all for what, almost 37, 38 minutes at this point. It has been great. Really appreciate you, David, James, Fazil. Thank you for dropping in your thoughts, your questions. Anybody else out there who I missed? Again, I've been trying to keep an eye on things. I'm not seeing anything coming through on chats or messages in that kind of way, but feel free to drop me a line. Going to do a quick plug. I do have another book coming out in December. It is the UX Leadership Field book. You can visit my LinkedIn, linkedin.com/n/Doug Collins UX to read about that. I'm super excited about that. I'm going to have more information and even do some readings about some of the chapters as I start to write them here. So keep an eye out for that. But other than that, I really appreciate everyone tuning in today. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you're doing great out there. Whoever you are, wherever you are, thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a great day and an absolutely excellent user experience. We'll talk again soon.